Hello, welcome back to a small video. I know it's been many months, but as I always say, I only make videos if I have something to say. Now, with the new firmware for, in this case, a Sony A1, but I think the trick I'm going to show you is usable on multiple of the new cameras and even on the old cameras, but this is also talking about the bug fix that they did, so it's kind of in line. So this might be useful for many Sony users, but I'm just showing it as part of the A1 finding new things in the 201 software. So I'm not in my normal YouTube setup, so it's a little bit clumsy, but we will make it work. So first let me show you what we are going to talk about. We are going to talk about a bug that was in the delete group, which they solved, and but luckily they left the feature bug, if it makes sense, in there, which is all to do about how to maintain that you can delete a burst but keep one or two pictures inside the burst. So let me show you, because it might be a little bit more complex to explain it than to just show it. Again, in a very limited setup, so here we go. So let's open up the camera. So it's now showing the camera, and I will pick it up. And we'll aim it at the webcam setup, which we have here. Some things are a bit slow if I go to the display mode. That's not normal, that's just because we are on HDMI. So what we are talking about is that if you take a burst picture, so let me put the camera in burst, which I'm doing now. If I take a burst of pictures, which I've now done, and I can review them, of course. And this takes a few seconds, which is not normal. It's negotiating the HDMI. You can see that I've put it in a display as a group. I will also show you how to turn it on and off. Now the bug and also the feature was this. I first took a picture of the webcam I'm using at the moment, which is a Sony ZV-E1, which is aimed at this iPad, and the iPad is showing Monitor Plus. But this is just a picture to show you how it sort of works. So we can see after this picture, which I recorded to two cards, I took a burst, and the burst is 28 pictures, and I can go into the burst and just move. It's all the same, of course, because I just took a burst. Now, the trick is that you can lock pictures in here. So I've programmed a button for this. Sorry, that was the wrong button. So you can see I can lock pictures. Now, the bug was that you could not lock the first picture, or in fact, you could lock the first picture, but then you could not delete the burst anymore. So let me go into the burst, sorry. So I'm now into the burst, right? Which also shows you another new feature. And I can select this picture inside the burst, if that makes sense. As you can see, picture 1, picture 2. Picture 2 is a burst. If I go into the burst by using the center button, you can see that I've locked the first picture, but not all the other pictures. Now, if I go out of the burst, I can delete this whole burst, and it will only keep the picture that I have selected. Now, why is this useful? This is very useful to be able to take a burst of pictures that, if you know for sure, you can delete the whole burst. If you think you know the 3 or 4 pictures that you want, you can just lock them and then delete the rest of the burst, which is very useful, especially when the cameras that have pre-capture or you're on 30 frames a second. It saves you a lot of space. Of course, there will be an argument that you should never delete pictures. Now, in my case, the reason I do it is because I'm always shooting to 2 cards. And on the second card, I still have all the pictures. Now, on the first card, that means that I can quickly import the ones that I want, and yeah, it just makes life easier for me. It's a personal thing, but this is how I do it. So let me show you that part, which also changed a tiny bit. So we are back in the camera, and you can see if I now press the FN button, we can have this FN menu also for the display mode. And one of the features that I put in there is that you can select which camera or which stick it's displaying. So here I can go to stick number 2, and then if I navigate, you can see that I still have the burst, right? So you can see that the burst is still on card 2, which you can see on the top, it says card 2. Well, if I go back to card 1, you can see I only have one picture left there, the one that I locked. Which is a great way to do it. If you are doubtful, you can go to the second card and check if it's still the whole burst is still there. So you're not really throwing away it fundamentally. You of the pictures that you think are important, you will have 2 copies, and the ones that you, if need be, you still have the whole burst, if that makes sense. Now another thing that has changed, and let me show you. Let me take a new burst and show you that. So we're just going to take a new burst. Let me do it slightly different, just off my face, although I can't focus, but... So I took a new burst and it's saving it away. If I now go into the display menu, I should see 2 bursts. Again, it takes a second probably because it's negotiating HDMI. But you can see that I now have 3 pictures and one of them is the burst again, right? So the first picture, the created picture from the burst and the burst. Now the nice thing about this feature is that they also changed a bit how that works in the selecting of a burst. So what do I mean? Before, if you go to picture 1, picture 2 and picture 3, this would be a burst. But if you now go into the burst, you can see that you can navigate it, of course, that makes sense. And you can also see that they are displaying the burst over there. But now you can also go back to the first picture. So first picture, so basically it unmapped them, if that makes sense. Now it remembers this, which is kind of nice. It's good and bad in a way, but if you're in a burst, you can still do the selecting and then go into that mode, but it remembers which of the modes you are. So if you're in collapse mode, it will stay in collapse mode. So let me put it in collapse mode. So now it's in collapse mode, so that it creates a burst. It will remember that. In the old version, you had to sort of do this every time, go in and out of the burst. You don't have to do that anymore. So that's kind of a new feature. So that's kind of nice. And what you can also do if you want to do that in this menu, you can now, of course, select the other one that you want to preview, but you can also turn the grouping on and off over here. So, of course, if you turn it off, it always looks like the flattened setup, which is nice. So yeah, this is the bugs. Just to repeat the concept, and let me select multiple. We haven't shown that one. So if we go into this burst, right? So I'm going in by selecting the center button. I decide that this one, and this one is the ones that I like. Now I go out of the burst, delete the burst, and it will keep 3 of them in this burst. See, you can see a burst of 3. I can even go further and sort of unlock this, if that makes sense. So I decided that which was the bug. So let me only keep picture number 1. So also unlock this one, and only picture 1 is now locked. And now if I go out of the burst and I hit delete, it says delete all in group, which is kind of untrue. It's still kind of a bug, but a happy bug in a way. If I delete it, you will see that now we have 3 pictures and no burst anymore. And of course, if I go to the other card, so card number 2, where the delete never happens, by the way, just so you know, it only deletes on the selected group, then you see that the stack is totally there. See 30 pictures. Now I'm assuming that you can also delete it now here. Delete this group. Yes, delete this group. So theoretically, you can now quite quickly throw away it on all one. So you see now card number 2, I have deleted everything except of the first picture. And if I go to card number 1, you can see that I have my 3 pictures over there. Yeah, this kind of, let me put this camera down and put myself back in the picture. So this is kind of what I wanted to show you. Again, this feature, at least the idea of deleting or locking pictures in a group and then deleting the whole group to basically only have the ones that you want left, is not a new feature. It's been in there for years. But the bug was that if you locked the first picture, you could not delete the group. They checked the first picture. If that was locked, they would say, no, you can't delete this group. Now you can always delete the group, But if there are locked pictures in there, it will either turn it into one picture if there's only one, or multiple pictures if there are multiple. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.